We said on the show all week, we're like, this is their chance to definitively prove that they are good, that they belong, that instead of just, okay, they have taken the next step. No, they've taken about 4 more steps, because now they've got to make sure they don't trip up against Kentucky, but this makes Tennessee, Georgia now the biggest game in the SEC this year. And nobody would have said that coming into the season.
Yeah, I do think it's kind of funny that Alabama still controls its own destiny to get to the SEC championship game.
Oh, yeah.
Which, kind of stinks when you think about what's happening here. And, I think we all kind of have an idea that Nick Saban, or we have faith that Nick Saban will figure it out. But Tennessee doing what it did, I think that it's so easy to just jump directly to college football playoff discourse. And is this team good enough to win it all, and all the stuff that you talk about? And really, I think that it might be even secondary to what this means to this program, to its build, to its legitimacy, to all the things that it has been trying to shake for so many years. I mean, is that fair to just say that what happens next is it's like house money at this point?
It is absolutely house money. I don't think anybody went into the season thinking they were going to win the East or that they were going to win the SEC. That certainly is a possibility now. Absolutely. The way they played today suggests they absolutely can win the East. It says they absolutely can win the SEC. I know everybody's going to spin their playoff scenarios about, well, if they lose close to Georgia and then Georgia goes on and beats Bama in the SEC championship game, let's not even worry about that.
I think there's plenty of time to talk about that
we
this year.
Yeah, we have months to worry about that. Let's talk about where these people were in January 2020, or excuse me, January 2021, when they fired Jeremy Pruitt. Everybody going to the transfer portal. There were a lot of our friend Fred from Freezing Cold Takes had a field day today with the people who trashed the Josh Heupel hire when it was made. Said, no, this guy, you're just going to get your old coach from UCF, Danny White. You're not even trying. Turns out he hired the right guy for the job. Like we said on the show, what Josh Heupel's done at Tennessee special. I think now you see how special that is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to even contextualize it. Like, I don't even know if it's even possible. We've spent a lot of time talking about Lance Leipold and what he's done at Kansas in a short amount of time. But to beat Alabama on your home field to advance to 6-0, and to do it by dropping 50 on them.
Right. This was not a fluky win. Alabama did play badly, but they did have a lot of penalties.
And that's what happens when you play in a stadium like that, by the way.
Yeah, but also Alabama has played poorly twice this year. Yeah. Before that, they played poorly against Texas and poorly against Texas A&M. So,
but it doesn't even matter. Like if you do think that Alabama is mortal, and they almost lost 2 games to Texas schools this year, where even mortal Alabama intersecting at this point into Knoxville and losing to Tennessee at this point in their build is inconsequentially important. I mean, it's insanely important. I don't think I used that word correctly, but hopefully the length of the word.
I get what you're saying.
The length of the word
beating Alabama, whether Alabama is flawed or not, Alabama is still one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, I mean, the talent on that roster, the coach that it's led by, I mean, like the legitimacy that it brings to your program. And Andy, I'll tell you, I was covering this TCU game, and it was a hell of a game. But the first 3 quarters of that game, by the way, I'm buying an iPad. I'm not going to a game ever again without an iPad next to me, because it's like I can't. I'm sitting here looking over at the computer.
You watched mine all last week at the Alabama.
Yeah, I know. It's just like I can't.
I gotta make.
I don't care how much they cost. I'm tired of toggling between screens. But I watched the majority of that game, and I missed the end because I was down on the field at TCU. But like, Tennessee was awesome. Like every time it seemed like, okay, here comes the Alabama death blow. Oh, Alabama's up by 7. The mesh point that they fumbled and they scooped and scored. That's it, 49-42, game over. It just seemed like Tennessee was back in the red zone or running in a 60-yard touchdown after every punch. And like the idea of defense and all the stuff that it takes, to win a national championship, I think is all secondary. The fact of the matter is that a Tennessee team that is weak mentally in all the things that you do doesn't punch back, because Alabama kept punching and punching and punching. down 28-10.
And Bryce Young is a freaking magician.
Yeah, I mean, he's
amazing.
Those hesitation moves, to get people to fall over in the pocket when he's about to get sacked. And then, I mean, the kid is special. And having Bryce Young on your team keeps you in any game no matter what. But, dude, Tennessee was resilient.
That's
the most impressive thing about it.
72's comment in the live chat here. Why does the Josh Heupel talk feel like Mel Tucker talk from last year? It does not feel like Mel Tucker talk. This would be like if Mel Tucker had beaten Ohio State last year instead of getting destroyed by Ohio State last year.
Yeah, no, I mean,
It's a big difference.
I don't see any similarity.
Very key
whatsoever.
distinction.
I mean, this is testimony. This is the thing that you're building toward. Like Mel Tucker had. He had plenty of things to be excited about. They had a much better season than you would have anticipated, but this is the end of the road for Tennessee.
Yeah.
Beating Alabama
you can beat Alabama, you can beat everyone.
What's that last boss in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? Like, that's what this is.
Yeah.
They just knocked out Mike Tyson.
Well.
Or is Georgia Mike Tyson?
I was going to say.
No, but personally, Alabama is to these people.
Are they?
I don't know. Now? Are they? You tell me. I don't know.
I think they are, but
you didn't take me to Knoxville on the road trip.
You still have to beat. Well, you don't have to beat Georgia, but
symbolically, though,
you have to be competitive with Georgia still, which they can be, and we know they can be because we just saw them beat Alabama.
Andy, what win is more important symbolically to the people?
I think either one would work fine, but this one was huge because it's Nick Saban, because it's Bryce Young, because of it's all of that. Now, here's the thing: Hendon Hooker looked so comfortable. And remember, he's playing without his best receiver. Cedric Tillman's still not back. Cedric Tillman will be back at some point this season, but he's not back yet. He looked absolutely unflappable, which if you didn't listen to the show, you know how I feel about him. I said it last year. He looks like a guy that you'd be like, I absolutely want to play with that guy. Yeah. I'd follow him anywhere. That type of person.
Yep.
And it really showed because Alabama's pass rush can unnerve people. We saw it in person with Haynes King last week. He just didn't know what to do. And Hendon Hooker, even when they got near him, it didn't matter. He always knew what to do. He always seemed calm and comfortable, which is what Bryce Young is on the other side as well. But we've already seen that from Bryce Young against the best of the best.
Dude, the fact of the matter is that when he fumbled that mesh point there, and Alabama scooped and scored it,
that should have been it.
A weak man goes into a hole somewhere and like curls up into a ball. I would have.
Yeah.
The fact that they were able to win the game after that, stunning. And like we're getting comments over here. Vaughn in our comments here, is Hooker the front runner for the Heisman over Stroud now? I mean, I think maybe odds he might be. Now maybe Stroud is still the favorite because Tennessee still has. There's
a lot of time left. I mean, Hendon Hooker is going to get to play Georgia. There's a chance he may play in the SEC championship game, depending on what happens against Georgia. So that'll all get figured out. That's not something, again, like the playoff scenarios. We don't have to consider those today. Let's just celebrate the game Hendon Hooker had, the game Jalin Hyatt had. Like Jalin Hyatt had 6 catches for 207 yards and 5 touchdowns against Alabama.
Do you know what the Hyatt logo is? I mean, the Hyatt slogan is?
What is the Hyatt slogan?
We care for people so that they can be their best. How do we kind of morph that into?
If he doesn't have a deal with Hyatt tomorrow, Hyatt needs to close.
I'm just trying to think like what Jalin Hyatt, sleep well tonight.
Yeah, well, you're not going to sleep well if you're a DB, but yes, if he's on your team, you'll sleep well.
Tennessee, Knoxville, Jalin Hyatt's got you. Sleep well. So you can be yourself.
And by the way, I did see a lot of Alabama fans after the game on social media blaming the refs. You gave up 52 points. You can't blame the refs when you give up half 100.
Every single time I looked over and cracked my neck looking at somebody else's iPad, Tennessee was running down the sideline with nobody in front of them. So I think that I don't even know what ref situation they're talking about, but that's Andy. I got to ask you, man. 1 to 10, 10 being flabbergasted. How surprised are you?
9? Because
I'm going to give it a 9.
did say, like, I picked Alabama to cover. I did say I wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee won, even if Bryce Young played. But as I saw it play out, and as you pointed out, especially after the Dallas Turner scoop and score, I was sure Alabama was going to win. Positive. And then when Tennessee gets the ball back for that last possession, and you see Hendon Hooker come out on the field, and you're like, I'll tell you what it felt like. It felt like watching Bryce Young come back out on the field for the last possession against Texas. It felt like watching Deshaun Watson come back out on the field for the last possession against Alabama in that national title game in Tampa, where you're like, wow, this guy just kind of knows what's going to happen now. And I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I had confidence that he'd make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, your love affair started a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. As we were watching the Ole Miss game.
Right.
The mustard bottle and the golf ball. But Hendon Hooker was getting the crap kicked out of him in that game and kept getting up. And I was like, this guy, something about him. And you can go back and listen to when we had him on the podcast in the spring. You can tell this is a person people want to follow and that people just gravitate toward. Now, Bryce Young is the same thing on the other side. I don't want to give Bryce Young short shrift here. He is a joy to watch. Like, I love watching Bryce Young interact with his teammates, especially after plays when something goes wrong, because he's always reassuring them. He's always like, no, we got it. And you can tell he's calming them down. And it was that quarterback matchup. We're not worthy of that. We just weren't. I think that's the thing that brought me so much joy watching that game, is watching two people who are so good at what they do. And those poor defenses, I mean, both those defenses got shredded at times. So it'll be interesting.
Almost 1,200 yards of total offense in that game.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. If they were to meet again in Atlanta, would the game go the same way, or would the defenses be better either way? It's an interesting question. Can Tennessee score like that against Georgia? Another interesting question. And here's the thing, Ari. We're asking that question now. It's the third Saturday in October, and we are asking that question. And we don't have to think about, oh, it's just Alabama, and it's just Georgia, and those are the only ones who have a chance. No, there's another team that has a chance, and it's Tennessee, the team that we thought would never get out of the dumpster.
Do you know what Tennessee,
as recently as 18 months ago,
where Tennessee ranks in the 247 talent composite?
It's not around Alabama or Georgia. It's probably not terrible. It's probably what about 16?
19.
Okay.
And this is the first time. God, I cannot believe I'm saying this.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
This is the first time that I think a team not in the top 8 has a legitimate chance to win the national title this year.
Wow. Are you saying that stars may not matter?
I don't know what he did, but if that were to happen, and maybe I'm like 10 steps ahead of everybody, and it's 11 o'clock. I've been working for the past 12 hours, and I got a workout in this morning, believe it or not. Maybe I'm delirious. But they're legitimate national championship contenders now, right?
Yes, because if you can beat Alabama, you can beat. Now, Texas A&M beat Alabama last year and was not a national title contender. But the difference is Tennessee's not lost yet. Tennessee does things like go to LSU and just destroy them. And you saw LSU play much better on Saturday night in Gainesville and beat Florida. So, yes, we definitely have to consider Tennessee a national title contender right now.